Hello guys and welcome back to Haymanager with me, Alex, today, and another tactical transfers video for you. You enjoyed the Crystal Palace one last time, so I thought I'll carry on doing a few more of these. If you haven't already checked out my previous video to this, it was a player overview on Liam Delap, a new youngster from Manchester City. He's only 18 years of age, scored 24 goals last year in 20 games in the Premier League, second division, son of Rory Delap, and he looks like a phenomenal player, so check that out. But for now, we're going to go straight into these new Brentford, new players, because we've already seen 2 confirmed transfers and a potential new signing as well. So from last season, we saw Brentford. They used a 3-4, I'd say a 3-5-2. We'll generically put it down to a 3-5-2. With the central, we'll call him a central midfielder for now. The central player in the midfield will either be an attacking mid or a defensive mid. We saw a lot of the time, if they were coming up against teams like Bristol City or Bournemouth or teams like that, they would always try and compensate by having an extra defensive player within that sort of 5, or they'd always drop back and try and play a more how would you put it? Yeah, more defensive wing backs. They'd play wing backs instead of the left and right mids. So what we're going to see here, we're going to see what I think Brentford's best 11, say, is probably at the moment. We'll check out that right now. So at the moment, with the players that they finished with last season, you saw Raya at the back, Pinnock, Janssen, and probably Norgard. I believe one of their centre-backs is his contract has expired after 4 years being in the West London club. I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, but he has indeed left, so that means Norgard is going to have his opportunities to play in the back 3. Then on the left-hand side, Kanyos, a very, very good winger. Left mid, he plays that role perfectly for Brentford. Very fast, very formidable player. Then Janelt in the midfield, a young German midfielder. Not really heard much about him before. 23 years of age. I think he started around about 36 to 39 games for them. Fantastic player. Then up front, even Tony. I mean, we've seen him. We've done a little bit of analysis on him in a Premier League strikers video for the FPL. I'll do another video on that soon. I'll do the new transferred in players to see if you can get your value for money on them. And then a Bueno. Very good player. Very good player. I like Bueno. He plays like a right forward. Very much. Tony can play up front as a striker perfectly. But Bueno does like to wander out onto that right hand side and allows Kanyos to come forward. So it turns into like a 3-4-3 in essence. But I think Bueno might just play as a second striker next year, because one of the few sides in the whole of English sort of football now, including your Premier League and Championships anyway, those 2 top divisions, the only team really to use 2 forwards, 2 strikers in their sides, not putting one out on the right and the left like Rashford or Greenwood play on the left wing or a right wing. Tony and Bueno do play like as a top 2, which is interesting. So we've seen that now. That's the start. That's the best sort of players and then obviously the 3 slots there. You've got your defensive mid. You've got Onyeka. You've got your other central midfielder and Kamada. And we might as well go on to the man that I've just let his name slip. It is indeed Onyeka, as I try and find where is it now? Here it is, Onyeka. Frank Onyeka. I mean, I know him from my save on Football Manager, believe it or not, where we did sign him. He's an absolute beautiful player, a box-to-box player, runs like no one else has ever seen. The stamina is unreal. A lot of people try and liken players to Kante. I've always held back my feelings on that, purely because Kante is such a phenomenal player. He's so great at doing everything you need from a defensive midfielder or midfielder in general. Onyeka is genuinely probably the closest one, in my eyes, to Kante that the Premier League is going to see. The people try and compare, for example, Fred, which I don't get at all, because Fred is nowhere near comparable to Kante. Who else plays the very defensive, like Ndidi? But Ndidi is a completely different type of defensive midfielder. Onyeka genuinely is a very Kante-like. He is a player that likes to run around a lot of interceptions, as you can see here, in 27 games, 42 interceptions, 30 tackles. That's 1 tackles, that, by the way, because some of these stats on fbref.com Obviously, for the smaller leagues like the Super League, which is the Danish league, they're not going to not going to give you like the most reliable stats for these lower leagues. You're going to get perfect stat lines for like Champions League, Europa League, all the top leagues, the top divisions and stuff. But yeah, for your more niche leagues, shall we say, they're not going to have the like be all and end all of the stats. So we see obviously Frank Onyeka sitting in that central midfielder role. I think he's more progressive. He has got 3 goals, 2 assists, so he can prove himself in those aspects. I think he's a very good box-to-box midfielder to sit in that midfield. Allows a lot of other players to go forward, especially like your left-hand side with Kanyos. I think that's perfect for Frank Onyeka. Frank Onyeka could slip into that left wing-back role any day of the week. We've seen it week in, week out for Midtjylland. Well, I've not seen it, but you can tell by the way that he gets ratings on a lot of these websites, because I do my research. Frank Onyeka, for me, is a great player. And at 23, box-to-box, absolute engine, great tackling ability. We've seen that in the Champions League with Midtjylland. He has been a pretty well-established player, actually. And I'm surprised they've managed to pick him up for, I believe, £15 million, which is very cheap. Very, very cheap. We then move on to this defensive midfielder. And this guy, I can't believe he's not been picked up by anyone else yet. And it's an absolute wonder that Brentford... I really enjoy seeing how Brentford are going about doing their transfer business. There's a brilliant video out there. I'll probably try and find and put in the description if I can find it, where they talk about Brentford's strategy and how they've managed to climb the ranks so quick and be very consistent and challenge every year to try and get better and better and better, and have done. And it's Christoph Ayer. Is it Christopher? I believe it's Christopher. Let me just double check. Christopher Ayer from, obviously, Norway. Brilliant. I mean, he could play for Barcelona. This guy is a talent. A big, big, big talent. 3 assists to his name. Pass completion obviously not there because it's a more niche league. 52 interceptions, 27 tackles, 1. He is one of the best defensive midfielders that I've seen for a long time, especially on the dictatorship front. Or dictating front, should I say. He is a very, very good receiver of the ball, then looks up, plays the ball off to the wings, perfect pinpoint passing. Really enjoys watching him play for Celtic because obviously you see these type of players in your, well, for me anyway, I've seen some in my Football Manager saves and whatnot, and you want to have a look what they're like in real life. So you watch a Celtic game, and you can just tell there's a certain class about him, a certain nuance to his game. He's a very, very clever type of player. He reminds me a little bit of Carrick, and that is high praise coming from a Manchester United fan. Celtic have let him go for £13.5 million, which is incredible business by Brentford, and I can't believe it myself. A complete defensive midfielder, dictates the play, great at tackling, interceptions, the lot, couples with Onyeka and Janel. I think that's a very interesting midfield 3, an incredibly interesting midfield 3, if you ask me anyway. Then the final player that I think they need one, Brentford. They need a proper right winger, proper right mid. You're looking at one that can be much like Kanyos, who can play that attacking role but defensive at the same time. And I've come up with an interesting one. Probably a player that you wouldn't think of yourselves. He's an interesting type of player. He's very tall. He's very good at getting back on defence. How would you put it? He's just very efficient going forward, but I think he's going to cost you quite a bit of money. That's the only problem. For Brentford, you had, obviously, at Leeds, you had your Jack Harrisons on loan. You brought in Rafinha for quite a bit of money. We know the money from the playoffs is a lot as well, as we saw Aston Villa spend quite a lot of money themselves. So this would be an investment for a long-term solution for this right mid role, who is an incredibly efficient player, 24 years of age. His name is Daichi Kamada. He's a Japanese right mid. He plays right mid for Frankfurt, and he's had a pretty insane season, to be honest. He's incredibly good going forward. I was very surprised to see how well he was going forward. 12 assists, 5 goals. Let me just get the other stats up for you now, though. 32 games played, 4.05 shot creating actions per game, so actually dribbles, passes off, sort of stuff like that. And 55.7% dribbling success, so that's how many times he's beaten his man. He's 50% of the time, 55% of the time, he's beaten his man. And I just think he's a really, really good player. Like, you're getting your assists out of him. They do compare him a lot to like an Olmo or a Muller on the FB Ref app. But that's just from website, sorry. But that's just from his stats alone. We've seen him climb through the ranks. He's now 23, just turned 24. Did have a season in the Belgian league where he got 12 goals to his name, so he's a very talented goal scorer. But in terms of actually just being on the ball and everything, he's very good at passing, he's crossing, he's phenomenal, great at creating chances. But with defensive stats, this is what gets me. Just a few additional defensive stats. 52 tackles for a right mid. He's not that great at tackling versus dribbles, for example, but 523 pressures for a right mid or a right winger, in essence, what he's tried to play. 31 blocks, 26 interceptions, and 23 clearances. I think he's very good. I think he's a very good fit for this right midfielder role, which has to be adaptable. You have to be able to play right wing back as well for this Brentford side, in case you try and put maybe a more attacking player in there, so it turned into a 5-2-1-2 or something like that. But this, for me, that right mid spot, whether or not it would be Kamada, or if you want to try and sign Dan James from Manchester United, or I'm trying to think of other interesting right wingers. Townsend probably would have been a great shout here, but he's a bit too forward for my liking. Townsend doesn't track back as much. Obviously, he's gone to Everton now. But yeah, this side, I think would be formidable. If you look at how Brentford play, and it's an interesting side, and you're only going to try and get better. The business done so far with Aya, 13.5 million, Onyeka, 15 million, Kamada, you're probably going to look at quite a lot of money for Kamada, because he's valued at 22.5 million euros at the moment. So it's a shame, but you're probably going to be looking at trying to get him for around 30 million. Something like that. He's 24 years of age as well. It's going to be difficult to get him. I know Brentford are probably struggling a little bit in terms of the finances aspect. But yeah, interesting nonetheless to see if they do try and find a new right mid to bolster their midfield and attack. Every bit of output they can from that right hand side. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, as ever, please leave a like, subscribe if you are new. 83 subscribers now, we're getting higher and higher, I can't believe it. Close to that 100 now. And yeah, Brentford, I'm going to be looking for them to really, really show their stuff in this next coming week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them in the Premier League. I hope you're enjoying your days. It's absolutely boiling here in the UK. And yeah, just stay safe. That's the thing. Stay out of the sun. Enjoy it, but stay out of the sun, please. So from me, Alex, see you in the next video.